All right. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on when and where you're watching this. How's everyone doing? Hopefully, you guys are having a good start to the week. There's a couple things to go over. To be honest, as long as price is taking its sweet time going sideways, um, there's not really much for me to talk about, at least when it comes to BTC. There's a couple of things that I'm looking at as other options just in case. But pretty much things haven't really changed. I'll go ahead and kind of start from a little bit of a larger time frame. Let's see. So if you guys aren't aware of how I'm viewing the overall bigger market structure, pretty much, I like to look at things at as everything in here has going to have some sort of ABC or just price action in general likes to form ABCs, and my job is to determine what the market is giving us. So from here, I see one larger A to a B to a C. Now the question is the C done here, or are we slowly waking our way down to form another lower low and to form a much, yeah. Oh shoot. That'd be kind of helpful. Sorry about that. All right. Can you guys hear me? All right, cool. All right. So what I was saying before, let me just double check something actually before I keep going. Let's see. Check, check, check. Okay, cool. All right, we're good. All right. So, well, as I was saying, sorry, I kind of, you know, didn't show you guys the first part of that. I'll go over it again. Pretty much, long story short, what I'm looking for is try to figure out where in this ABC structure that we're at. All right. Within each of these waves, there's its own ABC. I can sit here and draw these all day. A, B, C, A, B, C. It could be either here or it could be here. That's what we're trying to figure out. Is price either done here or we're going to continue lower and form another leg down to get a more completed structure? And from there, once we have, an idea of what's coming or at least what the possibilities are, then we can kind of go in on a quote unquote smaller time frame and figure out, what is this part of price action telling us? So from there, I'll go to a little bit of a, like I said, you always say this every time I talk about this, but I use air quotes um, while talking about zooming in because for me and for most people, um, it is definitely still a much larger time frame than what I'm sure a lot of you are used to. But when I go ahead and talk about these quote unquote smaller time frames, pretty much all I'm doing is finding a good perspective to where I can pretty much look at everything that I need within a certain part of price action. And that's most importantly, one of the most important things you can actually look out for is perspective versus time frame, because I can sit here on an hour time frame, zoom in as much as I can. And, the perspective of what actually is going on is pretty much non-existent. Um, so for me, I like to focus primarily on a 1 to 2 hour chart at first. Maybe I might go down to a 30-minute at the very smallest of a time frame. But for me, I'm mostly focused on keeping a good perspective of what price is doing. So, all right. So from here, now if I could assume that not assume, but if I think the C is ended here, what is this part of price action telling me? And to me, I see a larger A to a B to a C, A to a B to a C. And so I'll go ahead and show you the much larger trends that I'm looking at. And now price is kind of taking its sweet time. But as long as BTC is above that 18,450, to me, I have to remain bullish. And it depends on where I see things going. Definitely, there's a couple of different areas I'm keeping an eye out on. Primarily, the first thing I want to be aware of, the first area I want to see be tested is this high at about 25,202. All right, and from there, come on. From there, if price gets up to this region and let's say it just continues to push right through it, then I'll have to go back and possibly reevaluate another short opportunity if that is the case. But to me, in my personal opinion, also mixing up the idea of the ABCs of what I see here, I personally think that until this area is broken or severely broken, I'm looking at this as well as a combination with the ABC. I'm also looking at this as a possible Adam and Eve. To me, this looks like a very come on, well-respected rounded bottom. And price is going to take its time getting up here if it does want to do this. If price can come up and break that high and sustain strength and push through, then I would be a little bit more bullish. But obviously the opportunity of a much larger ABC structure. Come on, there we go. Of something like this is definitely in the cards as well. And if price can get up to that region and definitely, not sustain and hold that high or push through it, I definitely will have every rhyme and or reason to be a little bit more bearish on a much larger scale. But to me, I need to see that level be tested and broken first. And once it's broken and then basically, falling back through, or let's say it doesn't hold, I'll go on and, definitely take my head shorts, but I don't plan on taking profit on that long. My goal, or at least my way of approaching my trading over the last month or so, is kind of been reevaluated. I kind of changed it a little bit. To me, I'm more focused on trying to aim for larger moves. Now, when I say larger moves, it's like I'm looking for overall much larger trend changes, if not continuations, depending on which direction I'm looking to play. So for me personally, I'm looking for a much larger push to the upside. If that fails, I'll talk about what I'm also doing as well in this area of price action. But right now, it's kind of a waiting game. So we'll see what these levels hold for us. All right, I'll just go ahead and remove everything. Let's see. I want to go back to 1 hour and do this. So I'm currently holding along from here. If that holds, I'm looking for that new high to be tested, like I mentioned before. The other alternative is that this is possibly a much larger ABC, all right, with another, slightly smaller ABC here. And from there, the possibility of price going lower definitely is there. It definitely depends on how this wants to play out. And to me, this is kind of sloppy. I'm not the biggest fan of this kind of sideways consolidation. If this wants to break down, if this wants to continue upwards, to me, it looks great. But just based off of overall trends and how I view things, to me, this isn't the cleanest setup. But I'm definitely well aware that we can absolutely go lower. So if that's the case, what's the next level I'll be looking for? Me personally, I'm looking for that around that 17,610, 17,600 level to be tested. And most likely broken if we do continue to break down lower. From there, if we can get a nice reclaim of this level, I'll definitely go ahead and take a long off of here. This entry, is kind of taken off the table if that is the case. But to me, I'm definitely going to be focusing on this much larger structure. Now, if we do break lower, I'm 100% aware of that this area of price action can definitely continue to go lower. I don't know where exactly it can go, but we'll have to see what happens as price develops. And for me personally, I would like to see a quick reclaim of this just because I think everyone is so bearish out there right now. I don't think that if we are going to go down to those sub 10K, 12K levels, I don't think it's going to go right down right away. It's definitely going to take its time and definitely form a much larger structure that's definitely going to show that we're going to be possibly looking for lower. But to me, this isn't the setup that I'm looking for that to happen. I want to see a much larger structure, like I mentioned before, previously. Let's see, where is it? If I can see something like this form, like that, then I would go ahead and be a lot more bearish and, would possibly be looking for lower, those definitely those low numbers that everyone's been talking about. I just don't think we're going to go right down there right away. I have to see some sort of structure form to where we grab liquidity up here and definitely give people false hope that we're going to be a little bit more bullish on a longer term. And that's when, money is taken and bigger reversals do come in play. So that is primarily what I'm looking at for BTC. I'll show you guys where I'm short from as well. I'm currently holding a short, and I'm basically just letting these two positions fight. So off of this ABC here, I am definitely looking for, actually, no, that's the right color. Where is it? As long as BTC is below that 20,400 level, I'm going to just hold that just in case that, perhaps it could just fall right off a cliff and, at least get a lower test down to, I don't know. It really depends on what I see. Based on what I see, I think a good area of support is probably going to be somewhere in this region. So I'm looking for, if it does want to break down lower, just a slight low or a slightly lower low. I'm not looking for 10K to come down right away if that is the case. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not too sure exactly where price wants to go in the end, but I kind of have to just map out the possibilities just in case either option could happen. So that's pretty much it, what I got going on for BTC. I'll go ahead and move over. And guys, please feel free to ask me any questions you might have in between. It could be about ABCs, entries, where I take profits, or anything in between. Yeah, I don't think so either. Me personally. I just think because everyone and their mother is looking for that number, and I just think that everyone's being way too bearish overall. So, I mean, it definitely could, but I don't think it's going to fall off a cliff right here, right away. But I have to hold my shorts just in case that is a possibility. All right. I'm trying to think of what else I got going on. ETH. Okay, so I do want to talk about ETH as well. So ETH, I'm currently holding along based off of that 1214.70 level. Unfortunately, my leverage was changed at the time, and I didn't get my full entry in here. So I only got I think 0.75, 0.8% instead of 1% on risk that I was using. But I am still currently holding this bullish setup here. I'm currently holding along just in case that, within this ABC, there is an ABC within this smaller, well, I guess not smaller, but within this C leg. And to me, as long as ETH can remain above 1214.70, I definitely will be a little bit more bullish. Ultimately, I want to see that 1420 level be broken for me to sustain more of a bullish bias. And if that is the case, I'm looking for that 1232, or sorry, not 12, 2032 region to be tested. And from there, on a much larger time frame, I'm going to be looking for some sort of structure like this to play out to where, oh my God, I'm just going to do this. It'll be a lot easier. Something like this to play out. If that is the case, if ETH can come up here, reclaim that 2032, and not show signs of weakness by not holding above that level, I definitely would be a little bit more bearish on a much larger scale, just because to me, when I see this much larger structure play out, I do see something like this happening. That's ultimate macro bearish scenario. I personally don't think we're going to get down there, but I do have this mapped out just in case. And unless this happens, I can't necessarily take shorts and aim for a much larger drawdown like this. So that's just me personally and how I'm playing ETH at the moment. Like I said, if ETH can sustain above that 1220, 1216 area, as well as ultimately get back above that 1420, I'm definitely going to be a little bit more bullish for the medium term. I want to see some sort of uptrend form to where we do form this much larger structure. And then from there, I can evaluate what's going on next. If ETH gets up here and just keeps on pushing through, then I'll go ahead and try to possibly find another short position. If not, look for another re-entry based off a much larger, healthier pullback. And from there, I would definitely go ahead and basically that's how I'm going to ride the momentum to the upside if that is the case. So until that happens, I'll go ahead and mark these levels out for you guys. That is primarily what I'm looking for on Ethereum. All right. Let's see. So I talked about that. Trying to think of what else that I'm in. Hold on, let me pull up my phone so I can see. I'm in a lot of positions right now, and I try not to basically project that. I don't want people to take as many positions as I am sometimes. I just do it just based off because I missed opportunities. I also messed up on my entry, so I look for other opportunities as well. I'll talk about Litecoin because I am in a Litecoin position. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm dead wrong. And the last thing I want to do is be in 20 trades going in the wrong direction. That's happened before. Unfortunately, I've been on the wrong side of things, and I've had way too much money on one side. I could be right, it could be wrong. Hopefully, I'm right, but we'll see what happens. So, with LTC, I'm currently looking for something like this on a much larger scale to form. And it really depends on how it gets up there. But ultimately, I'm looking for this much larger setup to play out. If that 49.70 level can hold, I'm looking for a test of that 67.62 region. At least for a test. It really depends on how LTC gets up there. If it just pushes straight through and we don't show any signs of weakness, we just keep going, I'll go ahead and ditch the short idea until I find something that's decent in size again. But if LTC comes up here, kind of, straggles along, it doesn't really hold this level well and continues to fall down. And let's say this 67.77 level is going to be a much larger resistance, I'm going to go ahead and definitely take a head short. And I'm going to possibly, I'm not saying this is going to be it, but I kind of have to hold my shorts just in case that this is a much larger downturn of markets in general. I'm just kind of approaching the same concept or the same much larger idea I have for pretty much the main coins, BTC, ETH, LTC. And I want to see either price blow right through that resistance, or if I can get a good setup on a reversal just in case, I'll be happy with that as well. Ultimately, that's what I'm looking for. I'm in an LTC long for 49.70, looking for that test up there. If we push through without, with I don't know, with any problem, any resistance, that's perfect. As well as if we do struggle to hold that region, I will absolutely take a head short and let these two fight out just in case. So that is it for LTC. I think I'm in a Sol position. I'm pretty sure Sol. Yes, I am in a Solana position. So almost kind of the same thing with Solana on a much larger scale here. I do see this as a larger A to a B, possibly a C. The other alternative is, Solana is kind of playing out similar to Bitcoin. It's in a position to where it can easily fail this level and come down and form a much larger setup off of something like this. And from there, that's going to kind of put the last piece of the puzzle together, for me at least. I want to see something like that play out if this isn't the bottom already. If we're going to come down and put another low, I want to see that level of about, what is that? 26, about $26. be broken, and to me, that's going to put in a much larger structure, and that's going to look more complete to me. Doesn't have to happen, but I definitely see that as a possibility. The alternative is similar to BTC, to where this low is pretty much the low. And I'm going to be ultimately looking for something like this to play out, to where we get a much larger uptrend in the near future. If that is the case, primarily what I'm going to be looking for is a test of that 48.59 region. And from there, I have to kind of see how price is going to respect this level. If price just pushes straight on through it, without any good resistance or without showing any signs of weakness, and we just keep going through, perfect. That's going to work out for me as well. But the caveat is, if we get up there and let's say it doesn't necessarily respect this level or maintain it, and we just continue, downwards back down again, I'm definitely going to be hopping into a head short just in case that this is going to be a much larger reversal, and then we can come back down and break those lows. I kind of have to. Oh, I did not mean to do that. Kind of have to see how it goes as it plays out. But that's what I'm primarily looking for. I'm currently long on Solana, as long as we're above this region here. That's pretty much it for Solana. I kind of have to wait and see what happens. Let's see. Try to think. Am I in any other longs besides that? Solana, ETH, BTC, and LTC. Okay, yeah. So let's go over. I'm in another position. Well, I'm in the same position on XRP that I mentioned before, but I'm currently still holding a short based off of this setup here. I'll go ahead and zoom into that. Just because I like the size of this position, even though ultimately I wanted to see a higher high get put in past here, that 55.94. But as well as that, I also kept this level here in mind. And then from there, I kind of let price figure out what it wanted to do. I played this region, and if this region failed and we got a higher high, I would have definitely played that 56.05. All right, somewhere up here. And from there, as long I don't know how I didn't get stopped out, but it looks like I just missed getting stopped out here. So I'm still in this short. And as long as that remains, you do have the availability of this position on a much larger scale. Something like this playing out. Oh, come on. And from there, I can definitely say you can be a little bit more bullish on XRP. But if that fails, you're definitely going to be looking for lower. It really depends on what BTC and the rest of the markets want to do in general. That's ultimately what I'm looking for. That's pretty much it. Let me just double check and make sure I'm not in any other positions. BTC short, talked about that. XRP short, yep. That's about it. That's currently all I'm doing with crypto as of right now. That's the positions I'm holding. You guys know what I'm looking for in the near future, just in case something, either direction does play out. I do have a plan for either scenario. So if you guys have any other questions for me, before I move on to, we're gonna look over like traditional markets and the DXY and stuff. Let's see. Tech Jungle. Is it still? Does it sound good or no? Let me know. So long, yes. I don't know if you heard me talk about that before. I know I'm a little bit behind on the comments here. But yeah, I'm long off Solana, long as it's above 29.86. All right, see, did I miss anything? I don't think I did. Let's see. All right. Let's go on to traditional markets here. First, let me start off with the SPY. All right. So I've talked about this the last couple of streams. Pretty much as long as The SPY is above 362.41. I'm definitely going to be holding a little bit more of a bullish bias. It's kind of dancing around this region. So, one day I'm a little bit more bullish, the next day I'm a little bit bearish. It really depends on how this area of price action wants to play out. But ultimately, as long as the SPY is above 362, I'm definitely going to be a little bit more bullish. I'm looking for at least a retest up to this region around the 420 region. From there, if it blows right through it, we're probably going to be putting in some sort of higher high. Or, at the very least, if that doesn't happen, I want to see some sort of larger structure play out like this. And from there, I'll go ahead and possibly rethink about being bearish again. It really depends on how this wants to play out. So something like this. If we can get that on a much larger scale, that's going to be pretty good. Not good when we come back down lower, but this is going to be a nice, healthy setup for me. This is something I like to see play out in a longer term, or at least my definition of a more healthy structure. So that's pretty much it for the SPY. Dow Jones, same thing. As long as it respects that 29,650, I definitely will be a little bit more bullish, looking for this area to be tested. If it breaks through that, ultimately, unless we get another ABC somewhere in this region, I'm looking for that high to be broken at about 37,000. Something like this can easily happen as well. We come up here, dance, reject, put another high. And from there, we can get a much larger structure like this play out. Something like that. So, let's see. I believe that's it for that. AMD. I kind of look at AMD as just part of something I do hold every once in a while. I might buy like a share or two at the right place. I don't really. You do have this set up here for those who are curious. Oh, I double clicked by accident. So if AMD can get back above 71, 77, be a little bit more bullish, I'd definitely be buying some more. Let's see. The DXY. DXY is playing out in an interesting way. Ultimately, for the DXY, there's a couple different options. You do have this ABC available here to where we could possibly get another high. And that high is going to be about 114.75. So if that does play out, definitely not going to be looking good for markets in general, just for at least until that setup is formed. The other alternative to that is maybe we're in a much larger correction here, and then we can come back up and put in a much larger setup. It really depends on how this really plays out. Let's see, to where it does something like this. That could definitely be an alternative as well. Maybe that'll go along with the Bitcoin idea that I had, that possibly we can come up, test higher regions before coming down again. The way how the structure lines up between both definitely could happen. The other alternative is pretty similar to the first one. It's just how the DXY is going to develop in this part of the structure is definitely going to be a little bit different, something like that. Ultimately, still looking for a higher high. It just really depends on how it gets there. So those are the two main ideas that or three main ideas I have for for DXY. It's just that first one has a couple different possibilities of playing out. But ultimately, if you want to simplify this as much as you can, pretty much look for that level at 114 to be broken. If not, look for a bullish setup down here to play out on the DXY just in case, and then look for that region to be tested. Ultimately, it seems like if the DXY does a good job holding at somewhere anywhere in between this region and down here, just look for that higher high. If that doesn't hold, definitely could just easily fall off a cliff. And that's going to be good for, Bitcoin in general and just all overall markets in general as well, to where we can just continue down here and eventually on the much larger scale, If I see the DXY be broken at like, where's it? I forgot what time frame I had to use. There you go. If the DXY can get back below 103, that's definitely going to show signs of weakness for the dollar, which is internally great for markets. So just keep an eye on those levels, and we'll see what happens from there. Let's see the ES, the exact same scenario as the S&P. If it can remain above 3640, definitely going to be a little more bullish. Looking for upside, some sort of test up here in this region based off of previous support and resistance. I don't really know exactly where it wants to go. I'm just kind of ballparking it. If it does come up here and if it forms its own setup, larger setup within this region, I definitely would be a little bit more bearish just because you have the availability of this much larger structure playing out. Something like that. But if everything else, I went too far. If the S&P, or I guess the ES in this case, continues to push through, the next ultimate level looking to be tested is at 48.18. From there, if we get up there and it definitely don't hold that level, I'm going to be looking for a much larger overall downturn markets. But we'll see how it plays out. Let's see, US 100, same thing, 10,992. That's the level that's got to be kind of respected, or 11,000. From there, I'm looking for this pocket of area / support / resistance, right? No, I don't think I said that right. This area of support and resistance here to be tested. From there, ultimately, I'm going to be looking for a higher high. If we can get that higher high, that'll be good and bad at the same time. We'll kind of have to see how it plays out and really if it does want to get up there and how it respects that level. No one cares, Kite. Sorry. So from there, we're going to move on to gold. So I know on a much larger time frame, gold has this availability of this much larger ABC. Nope. Oh, come on. There we go. This much larger ABC to play out here. So just keep that in mind. But I've also talked about this in the past as well, is that with these much larger structures, there's definitely going to be room, a little bit of wiggle room for that level to be respected in general. I personally don't think when you're looking at such a massive structure that it's not going to be just a wick up to there and it's done. It's going to have times where it's definitely going to be playing around this region, trying to decide if this is going to actually be a strong resistance or if price could just break right through it. Definitely has some decision making to do. You do have the availability of this setup happening here, right? ABC. Yeah. So if gold can get back above and maintain above 1674, I definitely would be on the lookout for a little bit more of higher price action. Doesn't have to happen, but just based off what I see here, it definitely is possible. And from there, you can get another retest and another possibility of a higher high be put in based off of this structure here. I'll go out and zoom out on a, wow, I can't believe I'm still on a 12-hour. There you go. You do have the availability of something like this playing out. And from there, you can get a little bit more of a clear decision, whether it wants to respect that region or if it wants to come down and ultimately put in a much larger bear structure. So I want to see what else. Tesla. Okay, so last time things have changed since the last time we talked about Tesla. I feel like I went from a daily to an 8-hour and it didn't even move. Let's see. So based off of what I see here, it looks like Tesla did put in that lower low. So to me, this looks like one solid A to a B. Did it put in a higher high? Ooh, maybe it did not. Yeah, B and then to a C. And from there, if Tesla can maintain above that 20, is it 206? Let me make sure I got that right. Yeah, around that, like that 206, 70, 75 region. Definitely, I think things can look good for Tesla, but we'll have to see if that level is respected and can hold. If that's the case, I probably want to look for this region to be tested first, and then from there, ultimately, I'm looking for that higher high to be broken. If I see the availability of some sort of ABC anywhere in between the low and the high here, I will go ahead and take that just in case that this is a much larger available ABC structure. Something like this. That'll definitely look good on a much larger time frame. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at Tesla. If you're looking for prices to be tested at higher regions, there's definitely availability of a much larger structure playing out. If Tesla can push through that area of resistance, like I said before, ultimately you're looking for a test of that highest high, and from there we can see whether or not it wants to be respected or not. So let me take a drink here for a second. Okay. Let's see. Last but not least, I got silver on the radar here. Let's see. What's silver up to? I believe there is the mother of all ABCs. Yep, here on silver. So if that is the case, there's a couple different variations of what could be happening. There is a possibility of a much larger ABC within the C wave that could form, so we can get one more hit to the high. If that is not the case, oh god, what the hell happened? Just erased everything. Okay. Um, if that is not the case, I'm ultimately looking for something like this to play out first. We have an A to a B to a C here. And then either this is the B or we're possibly looking for one more higher high, depending here if it wants to come up here, with the availability of this being some sort of A to a B to a C. I kind of have to see how this plays out. But until that high is broken, I'm going to see this as the level to uh, be a little bit more bearish on, just in case we do have that structure to where we do form a much larger A to a B to a C. But I kind of have to see how this plays out first. Ultimately, regardless of how this plays out, if silver does decide to put in a lower low past 1168 or 1169, I would definitely be on the lookout for another possible retest of the upside. Don't know where exactly it can go just because of that much larger ABC structure that we have on the weekly. If that is the case, we'll take it level by level, but we'll have to see. Silver can easily, come down here and just break straight through and keep going down. But we'll have to see what that looks like in the near future. Well, probably not near future, just in the future in general. So those are the ideas that I have available. Just keep those ideas in mind, these levels in mind at the very least. I'll go ahead and mark them out for you guys. Not what I wanted. Come on. And yeah, that's pretty much it, I believe. Does anybody have any questions for me? What was that? Oh, doing good, David. How are you? No, no worries. I have a feeling. I have a feeling. Hold on, you don't have to tell me. Vlad's always curious about. All right, so for good old BMW here, um, so for BMW, pretty much this is the larger term structure I'm looking for. You do have this ABC that has been playing out here. If BMW can remain or respect this level, and to me, also from a traditional pattern perspective, what does this look like to you? This looks like a much larger head and shoulders here. So if I take out this ABC, definitely looks like a nice little inverse head and shoulders here. So if that is the if that is the case, I'm looking for at least a test of that high at 125, 124.50, 124.32. From there, depending on how it respects this level, or if it, if BMW just keeps going past it, or if it does show some sort of sign of weakness here, I definitely will go ahead and be a little bit more bearish on BMW. That's when definitely you can look to start selling your cars. Um, um, that's, I mean, I don't think there's anything else significant. Yeah, that's pretty much it. This looks like a much larger ABC that is currently trying to play out. That definitely does not look good. But I also got to take into consideration that this is a multi-decade chart here, or at least multi-decades worth of price action. So just got to keep that in mind as well. It might take a while before a major decision is made, so I wouldn't be nervous anytime soon. So you can keep your cars for now. All right, Vlad. What was the other one? Oh, come on. Why is my keyboard being a pain? All right. RON. JPY. Oh, is this oh, come on. Well, I don't know why my keyboard did that. All right. I'm being attacked. There it is. All right. Let's see. Jeez, let's see. I mean, Vlad, just based off without even looking at this looks like a good pump going on. I don't know if that's good or bad for you. Actually, it's a Romanian against the JPY. So, let's see. Based off of what I have here, I'm gonna go to like a daily. Yeah, it's gonna give me a much larger, better answer. ABC. All right, pretty much. It did form a bearish, well, I guess a ABC to the downside here. So from there, obviously, that level to respect is there, but we came back down, tested it, and we pumped from there. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove that. The other thing I want to see is how, if it's gonna keep pumping, I want to see some sort of, because now that we have a completed ABC in this region, I want to see what this region holds for us. As of right now, based on me focusing on this area, I do see this. But to me, based off of basically just a lot of clutter for me, I want to see ABC. So probably the level to respect is this here. If it can push past and maintain above this level, it definitely will be good. You do have the smaller ABC here as well. That is pretty much going to test right now. Yeah, it's pretty much on its way up to test that right now. So just, there's a good pocket of resistance here. If it can, push past that, respect that level, that's great. Definitely be looking for higher prices. I don't have that much price history to go off of. I mean, you do have this region here. So it's kind of dancing in this area now based on just, highs and lows. But we'll have to see how it plays out. So keep an eye out on those levels, Vlad. And yeah. That's pretty much it. This one, and then I'll mark out the other one as well. They're pretty much. I'll put it right in the middle because the area is like they're so close to each other that it's kind of more of like a pocket region for me. All right. Let's see. Does anyone else have anything else for me? Any questions? Anything? I wish. Unfortunately, um, if there was a chart on a timeline, I might be able to help you out on that. But unfortunately, there's who knows when this is gonna end. There we go. There we go. All right. Let's make sure I didn't miss out on anything. Let's see. Okay. I appreciate it. Yeah, that was yesterday. Yeah, yeah. No, that's what I said. People don't think I don't leave my room, but I do leave my room. I love. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I wanted to just do. I made a couple of videos just outside because I wanted to do so stuff that wasn't necessarily too like TA related. Because I do get like good amount of questions regarding like starting out, like what's realistic, and unfortunately, I got to crush some dreams because even though I do sit here and like do account challenges, or you see other people like Kite doing account challenges, he definitely makes it look easy. I'll tell you that. Um, and it's also nothing's guaranteed in the future. So like this challenge could be doing well for so long, and we can just go bust. Um, or we can sit around going sideways and we can just moon and do great. Nothing's guaranteed. So I try to tell people like don't get too caught up just on like actual price movements and price action and trading in general. If you definitely can make consistent money, but be able to grow a small amount into a significant amount is definitely a lot harder. So if you have a good chunk of change, like I'm trying to think of like something realistic. Like if you have like 50 grand rent laying around, you can definitely trade consistently off of that, take a little bit off the table. You know, not saying that it'd be enough to retire and live off of, but it could definitely help pay out the bills and stuff. Like, but in order to have a nice, consistent, steady level of income, you're gonna have to be playing with a lot of money. Even me, like as fortunate as I am, I'm still not at the point where I can do this full time comfortably. All right. I guess anyone else have any other questions or anything for me? Of course. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Thank you guys. Yes. Hopefully. All right, everyone. Thank you guys. Thank you. Bye-bye. Definitely. Thank you. All right, everyone. Sorry about that. Take care. I'll see you guys on the next one.